I want to ask is like tattoos and piercings a sin?
Good question. In Leviticus we read, don't put tattoos on your body.
Is that the Old Testament?
Exactly, it's Leviticus. Now the question is, see, what you always got to do when you interpret, you got to put it in context. So the question is, why in Leviticus would it say that tattoos are bad? All you got to do is read Elijah on Mount Carmel, competing against the prophets of Baal. God sent fire, and the people of Israel are watching, and they're seeking to determine who's the real true living God, Baal or Yahweh. The prophets of Baal pray, Baal, send fire. Baal, send fire. Nothing happens. What do? They start cutting themselves. The blood begins to flow. Why? Because that culture, that religion taught, if you want to get God's attention, you start cutting yourself, let the blood flow, and then God will answer your prayers. Then God will give you his attention. That's false. And so very clearly in Leviticus, God is calling the Hebrew people to be different from all the cultures around them. And one example is tattoos, marking your body, cutting yourself. So I would argue that because that was for that culture and time, there is nothing wrong with tattoos, biblically. Similarly, in Leviticus it says, you are not to wear clothing made of different cloth. Now, why would they do something like that? I mean, what's the point? Well, the point is that in that day, there was polytheism, many gods, belief in many gods. And they would mix the gods. And what God is trying to do in the book of Leviticus for the Jews is tell them there's one God, not many. And so you're not going to mix everything together. And so therefore he says you only wear clothing of one cloth. But the second point is this. The priests did wear clothing of different cloth, linen and wool, and that's because they were priests, and they were set aside. Now, I don't know which one's the accurate explanation of why God says don't wear clothing with mixed cloth in it, okay? But you see, the point is, when you got something difficult in the Bible, and there are many difficult things in the Bible, you don't just say contradiction, big problem. Instead, you learn to study the context, the culture. So what's the point of the author? Let me give you one quick example. Genesis 1:1 says what? In the beginning, who? Gods?
God.
Gods?
God.
Real loud, brother.
God.
God. Right on, brother. Okay, now why? Why is he doing that? Oh, you see, Genesis has to answer the evolutionary question. Guess what? The author, who's Moses, is writing to some Jewish people poised on the border of the land of Canaan to go in and conquer it. Do you think those Jews are sitting in their tents saying, wow, give me a scientific explanation of how God created? No. It's the furthest thing from their heads. What they are faced with is there a one true living God, or are there many gods? Now, all you got to do is go to the Babylonian creation myth, called the Enuma Elish. Do you know how many gods create the universe in the Enuma Elish? 9. Sun god, moon god, sky god, earth god. And Genesis 1 is saying, no, not 9 gods. In the beginning, one God creates the heavens and the earth. See, that's how you begin to understand Scripture better. Well, Cliff, I'm not a biblical scholar. You don't have to be, okay? Mark Twain said, it's not the parts of the Bible I don't understand that disturb me. It's parts of the Bible I do understand that disturb me. The Bible's real simple on the surface level. But if you're a university student and you're going to start asking hard questions, then you're going to have to study. And that's what you got to challenge people here to do. I couldn't believe earlier that woman back there was standing back there. She's gone now. But she was raining on me about the Bible, the Gospels are ahistorical. And I just simply asked her, fine, why do you say that? What's your evidence that they're not historical? She didn't answer me. Then she said, and there are a lot of contradictions in the Gospels. I said, fine, give me one. She said, well, I can't really remember one. And then she said, and there are a lot of Gospels that contradict Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. And guess what? She's right. But just to make sure she's doing her homework, I asked her, really, would you please give me the name of one gospel that contradicts Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John? She couldn't do it. You see, sir, that's not fair intellectually. If you're going to say something, understand why you're saying it, what's the evidence to support it.
But didn't they say, don't mark your body with like something of death? Right? Didn't it say that in the Bible?
In Leviticus, it says don't put tattoos on your body.
Yeah, but it also said, like, right next to it said, don't mark your body with a sign of death.
Okay.
Didn't it say that?
It might. I can't remember, to tell you the truth. I don't know. But I do know it says very clearly no tattoos. And so you're right, sir. A lot of guys come up to me and say, Cliff, does the Bible say we're not allowed to get tattoos? And I say, no. You've got to understand the context. And the context is the Canaanite religions, to get God's attention, you not only tattooed, you cut yourself. And you let the blood flow, and that's the way you're going to convince God that you're really sincere. You're really genuine. And God says, no, you don't do it that way. With your heart, you talk to me. Sincerely, genuinely, honestly, talk to me. And I'm going to listen to you. You don't have to cut yourself to get my attention.
Would you say some stuff in the Bible is false?
No, there's nothing in the Bible that I have read that's false. Now,
what about the hair, the woman's hair
yes.
not being weaved, man's can't cut their hair and stuff?
Good.
What is that?
Okay, good. What is that? Do you know that several times Paul writes, greet one another with a holy kiss? Now, this is the second day Jeremiah's been out here, and Jeremiah was very positive to me yesterday. Do you think I have kissed Jeremiah yet? No. Okay. Why? Am I disobeying the Bible? No. I understand that when Paul is talking about a holy kiss, he's talking about love each other, respect each other. Now, in the culture of that day, men kissed each other. Jeremiah did not try to kiss me, and I did not try and kiss Jeremiah. Why? Because we live in a different culture. But I've got some other friends, maybe like Italian guys, and they've come up to me and they've planted a big kiss on my cheek. And I don't say, oh, that's gross, but I understand that's a cultural expression of love and respect. You got to learn to distinguish between culture, a particular expression of something, and the Bible. Every atheist friend of mine does good deeds. Every agnostic friend of mine does good deeds. Every Muslim friend of mine does good deeds. Every Buddhist friend of mine does good deeds. All of us as human beings at times do good. The question is why? My observation is it's because we human beings have a conscience, this innate moral indicator in us. Every atheist has a conscience. Every agnostic has a conscience. Every Muslim, Buddhist, Hindu, Christian, Jew has a conscience. So all of us, by exercising our consciences and our rational minds, can understand there's a difference between good and evil, right and wrong. So then, Cliff, what have you been doing with a moral argument? What I've been doing, ma'am, is this. If there is no God, there is no mind prior to the human mind, be it Christian, Jew, atheist, whatever, who defines right and wrong. So it's obvious who defines right and wrong if there's no God. We do. And obviously means morality is relative, because you might define one right and wrong one way, he might define it another way, I might define it another way. Nobody's right, nobody's wrong. You choose, he chooses, and I choose. It's all relative. And I'm saying you can't live that out consistently. Why? Because if someone hurts you badly enough, you're going to look them in the face and say, you should not have done that. You ought not to have done that. And when you use those two words, should and ought, you're appealing to our conscience, which informs us that there is an objective moral. And when you just cut me off at the knees, that was really bad. Not relatively bad. When you abused that innocent child, that was really bad. Not relatively bad. When you murdered that innocent person, that was really objectively evil, not relatively evil. See, that's the way all my atheist friends live their lives. They're very good people, my atheist friends. But what happens is there's a disconnect between their thinking and their lifestyle. And the disconnect is, with the top of my head, I think it's all relative morally. But the way I live my life is, if you steal my stock portfolio, really evil. Let me give you one more example. A lot of people like to say to me, Cliff, God is love, which means God doesn't judge anybody. Everything's cool. Doesn't matter what you do. Okay. Let's say someone murders your mom and dad. They're hauled into a court of law. The judge says, you murdered this woman's mom and dad. Goodbye, have a great life. What is that saying? That is saying that your mom and dad do not matter. See, an understanding of sin means you do matter. And if somebody hurts you badly, it's really wrong. Why? Because you really matter. Well, why do you really matter? Not because you're an arrogant twit, because you're a human being created in the image of God.
But, sorry to interrupt.
No, go.
I don't believe my value comes from something that is like, that God gives me.
Right.
My value is what I place on myself. And you're saying, what if someone murdered my parents, right?
Yes.
That does not take away their value for their lives, you know? Like, them being dead is not invaluable, is what you're saying, right?
Okay, but why are you valuable?
Well, because I place value on myself.
Okay, what's wrong with this? I'm the greatest.
There's nothing wrong with that to me, but I mean,
But am I the greatest?
if you believe you are, then you are.
Okay, I disagree. I think that if I go to the top of this building and really genuinely believe I can step off and fly, I am going to have a rude awakening as soon as I step off that building. Because I'm out of touch with reality.
Believing that you're great just in it of yourself without having something like God place that value upon yourself. It's like you believe it and you don't have to have something giving you that like value. You just believe it.
Okay, good, but think about what you're saying. There is no God who created me. My number came up in a Monte Carlo game, a crapshoot. I'm an accident. Which means, what's the difference between stepping on a cockroach versus stepping on you? Cockroach is an accident, you're an accident.
Yeah.
So, you can stand there and tell me all day long, I have value, I have value, I have value.
Just like that cockroach has value.
Do you make a distinction between me stepping on a cockroach and me stepping on you?
I guess just because it's me and I mean, it's a cockroach, but that cockroach still has value.
Why don't you arrest people for killing cows and eating beef?
Because we're humans and we place value upon them. Just like we place values on ourselves, we place value on animals.
So if an alien race comes and starts wiping us off out of the picture and eating us like hamburger, would you have a problem with that?
They don't value us. I mean, they're aliens. I can't place value into them that they don't have in us. I can't convince them that we have value. You know, they already think that.
But we don't have innate value if there
That's
is no
why.
God. It's just something we've created in our heads.
Exactly.
Okay, so then please don't be so arrogant to tell me that if I want to dump on him with a racist attitude, that's wrong. What do you mean? That's my choice. If I want to be racist towards him, that's my reality.
No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
I know you're not saying that, but follow the line of thinking, which is, if my value is just constructed by me, and his value is just constructed by him, and if I say to be racist to him is cool, that's my choice. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because you just have your choice. I got my choice.
It's different though, because you have
to jump in on this. You're like kind of going everywhere. You're not answering her question. So
No, that would be wrong.
no, like
I am getting to the root of the question, which is, why is right right and why is wrong wrong? And I'm using different illustration, be it the cockroach and her, be it my racist attitude towards this gentleman, and she's maintaining consistently, and I respect your intellectual consistency. It's all just a matter of choice. Well, if it's all just a matter of choice, then if you step on a cockroach or if you step on her, I'm going to arrest you for both, and I'm going to try and have you held accountable for that, because that's my choice.